Hi again. Welcome to Pearl Magazine. After more than a year of political and social upheaval, many long-term Hong Kongers are calling it quits. Later in the show, we meet some of the locals who are voting with their feet and betting on better futures elsewhere. First up, with more than 30,000 university graduates each year and thousands more returning from overseas, Hong Kong's job market remains among the most competitive in the world. But the pandemic is putting the squeeze on job openings as employers slash budgets and implement hiring freezes. Now, many newly minted graduates are suddenly finding the competition for jobs is tougher than ever, while hiring managers have never had it so good.
Chloe graduated less than 6 months ago from the University of Melbourne in Australia. She landed a production job with a film company in London, but soon after she moved there, COVID-19 hit.
And that fell through because of coronavirus, so then I decided to come back to Hong Kong because the situation in Hong Kong was much better.
Chloe applied for about 50 jobs overseas and another 30 here in Hong Kong, but hasn't had any solid offers yet. For now, she's decided to take an unpaid internship with a production company, hoping to pick up new skills.
Of course, it would be great to have a paid opportunity. But having said that, I do feel like I'm getting a lot of amazing experience from here that perhaps outweighs money. The team is relatively small, and so I feel like there's a lot more opportunity to have experience and to interact with different levels of people.
Employers are benefiting from the high volume of qualified graduates on the market. Chloe's boss, Angela, says they had many more applicants for the internship program this year.
Our interns do a bit of everything, and that's what production's all about. So one day they could be just tidying up props or subtitling or digitizing footage. Another day they could be on a shoot, and that could be anything from helping us film, doing the behind the scenes, guarding props. I mean, it really ranges the whole gamut.
The experience, so we would...
But Angela's company has not been immune to the impact of the virus on business. Their shoots are down, but their webcasting is up, so they've managed to avoid downsizing. The company's just not expanding. They're consolidating.
The other significant thing is we're not using as many freelancers. So we're trying to absorb everything that we can in-house. So that puts a greater strain on the team as well.
While Chloe interns, she's still looking for work in anything film or production related.
I'd love to enter a job after this. At the moment, since I'm living at home and I have no costs, I'm not going anywhere, I'm not going out. I can't afford, just for a really short time, to have this experience. So if I do end up learning a lot, and which I have, I feel like it could be a good choice to stay for a little bit, but I'll have to see.
While many have been hit hard by the pandemic, there are a few bright spots for those with skills in STEM: science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Companies in the science and tech fields are seeing growth, and with that growth comes the need for more people. Patrick's company specializes in APIs or programming interfaces. While business has been down with clients in the tourism sector, it's up in every other sector, including more traditional businesses. In fact, he's had to hire more people than he initially planned.
Back to January, we was a bit conservative. We were only thinking 5, but eventually I said I hired 12, and then we are keep hiring. So it is actually a little bit unpredictable. So it is we really scale up. The demand is scaled with our business. So this is the case.
Patrick says he saw 7 times more candidates this year than in past years. He credits the virus for the boosted numbers, combined with his virtual meetings with candidates.
In the past 3 months, we got up to 100 CVs, which is a very huge boost compared to the previous few years. We only have a bit of 112 or 150.
For specialized areas like banking and insurance, Patrick is looking for skills and experience. Other than that, culture fit is a key factor in hiring. Isaac Shao, CEO of an online jobs portal, is seeing a trend with digitization. He says that's translating into more demand for soft skills that can help bridge the gap for business customers.
They're much more looking into is your, like for example, your selling, your interpersonal skills, your communications, which is common to a lot of different roles, different job roles.
Connie graduated this year and currently works for Patrick's company. She had worked as an intern when she was a student, so she was able to get a job with them as soon as she graduated. Connie says she likes the startup environment and flat structure of the company as it gives her more opportunities.
I joined here as a student, and at that time I don't really have much working experiences. But it offers me a job title which is project administrator, and then Patrick will provide me some kind of training and coaching so that I can become a business analyst like I'm doing now, and just in 1 year.
With overall salaries this year remaining somewhat flat, Patrick is incentivizing his team with targets.
For every people they join in, I would say that, okay, actually you got the pay here, but we actually got a system talking about personal business commitment. So we have a regular discussion with them. So we set a key target. We hopefully set quite a portion of their salary is a performance based.
With a flood of qualified candidates in the market, employers have their pick of who they want to hire, at least for those who haven't frozen hiring or whose businesses are picking up during the pandemic.
We're seeing more graduates and experienced professionals in the market, greater availability of talent for less roles. And so organisations, have an opportunity to be picking from that talent, and so there's greater choice for organisations and more applications that obviously come with that.
Stanley's company specializes in DNA testing for cancer patients to determine the safest, most effective treatment for them. In just 5 years, his company has grown from 3 people in Hong Kong to 90 people in Hong Kong, Thailand, and mainland China. This year, he says he's had 5 times as many candidates apply for 6 positions, most of them through the Science Park's virtual job expo.
Every conversation is so fast and so simple. We can just spend 5 or 10 minutes. We can inform the candidate whether the job is fit for him or her. I remember by just saying one day, we have already received 16 applications. Some of them from Singapore, some of them from India, some of them from US, and some of them from China. So that really quite helpful.
Most of this year's positions are focused on research and development. In just a few short months, he's already filled 5 spots, which under normal circumstances could take more than a year to fill.
We can see a lot of candidates to come in, and the reason they want to apply or search for a job because they cannot just study a word abroad. Previously, a lot of biotech candidates, they will feel that, okay, it seems that I have to study abroad. I have to work abroad because they will think, okay, like Europe, US, even China, wow, there's a lot of chance for them. Due to the policy, the lockdown policy, they have to stay here. And all the plan has been disrupted. So they have to find a way to spend for the whole year.
He says they have different categories to fill, those with experience and PhDs, fresh graduates, and those for back office work. He likes new graduates because they haven't picked up any bad habits yet. This was good news for Kui Chan, who wants to work in the healthcare industry. She realized interning might give her a pathway into a regular job.
I only applied for the pharmaceutical companies, some are biotechnology companies, and some selling medical device companies. And I think around 8 to 9, I have go to the interview, and the HR told me that, oh, the position is cancelled. The headcount is lost because of the pandemic. So yeah, it's really difficult.
Luckily, she had been interning for Stanley since October last year, so she was able to secure a job with his company in June after she graduated. One survey from HR Magazine shows that 62% of companies are freezing headcount for the rest of this year, particularly for new graduates. But HR Chief Ewan Clarkson says his company is using this time as an opportunity to hire quality graduates, and they're not cutting back on their numbers.
For us, we will continue to hire around 2,700 graduates across China and Hong Kong, knowing that, that these individuals will be our future managers and stars in the organisation that will go long beyond the pandemic.
For now, most graduates may have to do with gaining experience and potentially upskilling to careers that are more in demand.
After the break, political polarization prompts population relocation. Stay with us. Welcome back. In a city where many growing political divisions have fractured neighborhoods, friendships, and even families, some people are saying goodbye to Hong Kong. Zella Chin reports on people willing to uproot their lives here with the promise of a better future elsewhere.
Pradeep Nantani relocated to Hong Kong more than 20 years ago from Jaipur in India. He was looking for better opportunities. He says he fell in love with the city on day one.
I love everything about Hong Kong, like the transport system, the banking system. If you go to anywhere, you will find multicultural. Like one street, you will find Indians and then Pakistanis and every race, you know. And they all are living together happily.
Pradeep grew up in a family of gemstone traders. His father runs a local wholesale business in India, and Pradeep came to Hong Kong to develop new markets.
I was 19 years old. I came to Hong Kong, and because of my uncle, he brought me Hong Kong to show me the market of diamonds, gems, emeralds. So after that, I realized that Hong Kong is a good and big market, so it's attracted me to stay here.
He buys diamonds and other gems from India and Thailand. The factories in China turn the gems into jewelry. He sells them in Hong Kong and overseas markets. But last year, his business started to slow down. Demonstrations against the government became frequent and sometimes violent. The protests affected his Hong Kong clients, the retail jewelry shops.
So if no tourists, if no any buyers, and they cannot sell their goods. So our business was so much affected by the closing of jewelry shop.
He offered discounts to his clients and explored other business opportunities. Then COVID-19 emerged at the beginning of the year and hit his jewelry sales again, this time globally.
When the pandemic comes, it's like hammer on our business. It's going down, down, and more down. Till now, still my sales, you know, is 20% only.
Compared with a year ago, he had to let his 2 staff go in March to save money. Then in mid-July, the U.S. government announced it would revoke Hong Kong's special trade status after the national security law was introduced here. Typically, Pradeep's jewelry is manufactured in China, then exported to Hong Kong and shipped to the U.S., enjoying low import duties of about 6%. 50% of Pradeep's business is from the U.S. He fears the loss of the special trade status will increase the tariffs.
We cannot tolerate, we cannot bear that much taxes because our profit of margin not that high, so we can pay the taxes. So we are looking for some another country that we can export from there.
My turn?
Yes,
yeah.
Pradeep has a wife and a 9-year-old daughter. He's decided to relocate his family and business elsewhere.
I don't want to leave Hong Kong, but business is going down, and it's hard to survive. The rent is still same, the expenses are still same, but incomes are decreasing every time, every month. So there's no other option left for us. I don't think so. The coming future in Hong Kong, it is bright. And I don't want my daughter in the future, she'll see all these things like protest and what's going on in Hong Kong.
Some Hong Kongers have been looking for an exit strategy in the past year. Because of the U.S.-China trade war, protests, COVID-19, and now the national security legislation, many Hong Kongers are turning elsewhere for a better future.
Good morning, sir. How are you? I'm good, thank you.
Pradeep is visiting the office of his migration consultant for advice on his move.
So I think that UK is the best. As I told you before,
Pradeep originally came to me for immigrating to Australia, and after looking at circumstances and the business needs as well, I recommended him that he could move to UK. The reason is that his major business is connected with Europe.
Pradeep and his family are Indian citizens and Hong Kong permanent residents. Richard is helping him apply for an entrepreneur visa, which allows him to set up a business in the UK, and dependent visas for his family. Pradeep plans to leave Hong Kong by early next year. He'll need a document from the Hong Kong police force that is required in applications for resident and student visas overseas. Applications for a certificate of no criminal conviction increased by more than 40% from 2018 to 2019. Over in Pok Fu Lam, this family of 6 is making plans to immigrate too.
My name is Jason. I was born and educated here in Hong Kong for 39 years, and I'm working in the hotel industry. I have 4 kids, and my wife is a registered nurse who is working in a private hospital.
The children are 1 to 11 years old. Jason and his wife decided it was time to leave in April 2019. That's when Chief Executive Carrie Lam tried to rush through the passage of an extradition bill that would have allowed the government to extradite suspects to mainland China. Months of social unrest followed. The bill was withdrawn, but the violence continued.
We are afraid of it because the society is really unstable and is not healthy anymore.
And the recent adoption of the security law reinforced their decision to go.
I think democracy, the freedom of speech are vanished due to the national security law. I think Hong Kong people are suffering and they're living in a fear.
The new law punishes acts of secession, subversion, terrorism, and collusion with foreign forces. The chairman of the American Chamber of Commerce thinks the Hong Kong government should provide more clarity on the national security law, which would ease concerns.
The law is so broadly written, the 66 articles. We need guidance on what exactly the specifics are. So there's not the specificity of English common law right now.
Jason and his wife chose to relocate to Australia. His wife has an uncle living down under. The couple are showing the kids some photos of a trip they took to the Gold Coast on Australia's eastern seaboard.
We want to offer a better life, spacious living place, and also well-education system for our children. Australia is one of the best places to live in the world, with a very strong economy, great job opportunities, and a modern lifestyles.
Jason is on his way to visit his migration consultant in Wan Chai.
Jason's wife is a registered nurse, so that is a very high demand occupation in Australia. And also Jason worked in the hotel as a manager. So both couples are eligible for skilled migration. In fact, that a lot of the professionals in Hong Kong, like the IT or engineers or the managers, they are applicable for the skilled migration to Australia.
The family is in the final stages of the application process, and they hope to get the visas by the end of the year.
Love Hong Kong like this.
Not everyone is moving out for political concerns. Over in Tai Tam, Abby Tang plans to move back to the U.S. with her family this summer. She was born in Macau. She went to the U.S. to study and work in the IT industry. Then 20 years ago, she moved to Hong Kong.
I had an opportunity to internal transfer to Hong Kong. It was during the dot-com boom's days, so I was in my 20s, very excited about coming back to home, close enough to home. I met my husband, and we started dating, getting married, and have 3 kids together.
Last summer, Abby and her husband decided to move to the U.S. They've always wanted their children to study in America because the education system emphasizes critical thinking skills. They think the rote system in Hong Kong doesn't offer what they want for the kids.
My eldest one is going to high school, and this is the time either we move now or it will be when she goes to for college, which is 4 years from now.
The family are U.S. citizens. They bought a house in Seattle, Washington. Abby got an internal job transfer with her company. Her husband is relocating his private equity business. Their 3 children have already got placements in school. The kids are nervous about the big move.
I'll miss our school and my friends there and our home and my auntie.
When we're there, it's going to be very difficult to understand the place around us if we're in lockdown. It's very difficult to make friends behind a mask or through a computer.
My biggest worry moving to the US now is the unemployment rate, because when people are desperate, it can get dangerous, as we've seen it in the riots that's going on.
And finally, the big day has arrived. It's time to fly out for good.
I'm very sad. I landed here 20 years ago, single. I'm leaving with, a beautiful wife and 3 beautiful kids. And I'm leaving behind a lot of good friends.
So what's the biggest thing you would miss about Hong Kong?
And are you okay?
Well, it will be the friends and families. We still have a lot of family here. But we'll have 5 of us, right, together?
Yeah.
Of course, we'll miss Hong Kong forever. And the other part of us is we're so committed, and we are ready to go. The big house, right, in the U.S.
We're gonna have a slide on the stairs.
And you know what? Best of all, when COVID is subsided, and we will just come back so often as if we never left. So we'll be okay.
The migration consultant Richard Butt fears more people will be leaving Hong Kong in the next few years.
There are many others who love Hong Kong too. They don't want to move out, but I see them, they're still moving. They're still planning to move. So plan to move is the first step. And if another government allows them to welcome, then that's the second step. The third step is just buy the ticket and go.
That's our show for this week. Next time, Hong Kong is heating up, but with green buildings playing a larger role in a long-awaited decarbonization strategy, will Hong Kongers be able to break their aircon addiction? Thanks for joining us. Bye for now.